Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, morning people. Before we bring on our guest today, Tim Rosolio from Vrbo, let's talk about the one word that every property manager just dreads: switch. Brandy's switched property management systems more times than she cares to admit, so she already knows the pain, and I don't have to really explain it much further. But some people even say that they would rather pull out their own toenails than actually go through the pain of switching property management softwares. But here's the thing, staying put in a system that's holding you back, that actually costs you more in the long run. That's why Guesty makes switching easy. They built the engine of this industry with seamless onboarding, all of your reservations and automations carried over, and a platform that actually grows with you instead of holding you down. So stop suffering, flip the switch, and get on with running your business. Guesty makes it painless with Guesty Switch. And now let's jump into the actual conversation with Tim Rosolio from Vrbo. Guys, take it away.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday.
It is for most of us, except the Ravens fan on the call. So sorry about that, Tim.
It's a rough season.
That was a rough one.
How it goes. My dad literally just texted me, and I'm wondering, was it some sort of news about the injuries? But because I'm such a professional, I'm not going to read the text until after.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Given the urgent nature of the text.
If Tim's face turns red halfway through, then
then you can really start sending me fastballs if you see me a little rattled.
Yeah. Well, I presume Jamie's a Falcons fan like I am, so nothing's worse than Atlanta sports fans. So being
it was a tough weekend for the dogs. I'll say that. Yeah.
Well,
on more exciting topics than all of your bad football teams, we have Tim Rosolio, VP of Partner Success at Vrbo, with us, here to talk about all of the new announcements, the expanded distribution, tech features. You guys have really been busy recently. So Tim, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you.
Always good to be with you. And it's really well timed with everything that we announced at Explore a few weeks ago. We saw Jamie there, a terrific guest. My boss, Greg Schultz, who's our chief commercial officer, was like, that guy really seems to get it. We need to spend more time with him. I'm like, yeah, we do.
And here you are 1 week later, 2 weeks later. So
yeah, I'll say it was an awesome event and such good barbecue and fun seeing Tim dressed up in his bolo tie entertaining us all.
Have you had salads mostly since then?
Yes, 100%.
I felt awful at the end of the week.
I give Vrbo credit for making a bunch of big announcements and then having your conference. You really, I think, greet all of your hosts like where they are and whatever emotional journey they're on after those announcements. So I wanted to give you guys your flowers for that. I think that's the kind of the best way to handle any change that you're putting out.
Yeah, I think we found that, listen, with all change, there's the change curve, right? And in a two-sided marketplace, when you make changes, there's impacts to partners or hosts. And if in fact there are questions or concerns from hosts, we're better off just like, let's just talk about it. And very often we hear things from hosts that are concerns. We find out that perhaps they weren't thinking of it in the way that is actual reality. And we have the opportunity to educate them right then and there.
Yeah.
On that, you guys have made a lot of changes. You had your own event a couple weeks back. Are there any headline things you want to get out there from the T's and C's that you were able to relay to those who attended, but would be helpful to have another chance?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the overarching messaging from the event is that this story of replatforming is behind us, and we are now truly taking advantage of all of the things that Expedia Group has to offer. That is expanded demand, which is sort of not just Vrbo, but also Expedia and also the B2B network. And then additionally, on the flip side, tools and capabilities to try to drive more demand, like the promotion suite. So that's the overarching message from the event. In terms of specific T's and C's, probably the biggest change was we changed the way that we do Premier Host. Premier Host used to be done at the account level. We are switching it to the listing level because I think generally what we saw was, you'd have these massive portfolios of inventory that would all get the badge, even though all of those individual homes hadn't necessarily earned the right to have it.
Yeah.
So we made it more selective, and we think it's going to deliver a more seamless and consistent traveler experience.
Every portfolio still has their bottom 20%. So whether that manager wants to churn them eventually or wants to help lift them up to the next category, I think it makes sense to go to the property level. You mentioned the migration in the back end on the tech updates.
Yep.
And I know that's taken some time, but with Vrbo inventory now being searchable or bookable through the Expedia platform, should we expect a lift in demand, a lift in occupancy through the Expedia channel?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the depth and breadth of Expedia Group in terms of that traffic volume, it's 5 times that of Vrbo. So it's just truly a step change in the amount of eyeballs that are going to be on vacation rental properties. And now that the Expedia traveler template is on the same template as the Vrbo template, as we continue to optimize for vacation rental listings on Vrbo, we can pull those features over to Expedia. And even after just a few months, the results are really, really promising. But of course, it's not just a product thing. We've started to have creative with Expedia that really articulates the value of vacation rentals. So I think that it's a product play and it's a marketing play. And then, we as a team are going to continue to optimize the supply to sell all these stores rather than just on Vrbo.
Is that difference going to be most noticeable in urban inventory, or should the 6-bedroom Aspen house also expect a significant lift?
I think it's going to be a lift everywhere. Actually, on Expedia, we've noticed it's been quite a mix in where we're seeing acceleration. Sometimes it's urban markets like Miami, where Brandy used to be, but we're also seeing more bookings in Myrtle Beach because people come to Expedia and book Myrtle Beach. Maybe they weren't thrilled with the hotel selection, or they liked the hotel selection, but they wanted a few rooms and they said, hey, let's try a vacation rental. So it's really been, I think there's a tendency to say Expedia urban, Vrbo leisure, and it's actually, I think we're both heading in a direction where we're gonna book everything.
Yeah, everybody wants to have all their options in front of them all the time. So that's how you're going to get those people kind of popping up. And so this is kind of an in the weeds, behind the, back of house question, but from a distribution capability, was Vrbo now going to allow the book by type logic? So you could have, it's a 1-bedroom condo, not that specific condo unit, kind of like the similar way hotels distribute on Expedia.
Oh, got it. So room types and rate plans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we actually already do. So not only we're distributing that traditional single unit inventory over to Expedia, I believe it was last summer we started distributing multi-unit inventory like you worked with at Romy or Sonder or Cost of Living, something like that. It distributes over to Vrbo. Then when you click into it, it has room types and rate plans. So you can say, I want the 1-bedroom condo, the 2-bedroom condo. And that's actually, we've seen a nice acceleration in urban on Vrbo because of that.
Yeah, because you have the if you go to one building, you don't want to have like 70 individual listings at that one building. Some of them are never going to get booked. So that's awesome. I think, especially for urban operators or people that have, multifamily product, regardless of where that is, that will be huge.
Yeah. All the fruits of, there was this mess we always had of, you had the Vrbo ecosystem, you had the sort of traditional lodging ecosystem. And this is why we made the hard decision to re-platform, so we can start taking advantage of all these capabilities across the entire group.
Yeah, your hard work, all that pain is now coming to fruition.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
I just looked up the date of the HomeAway acquisition. It was 10 years ago, almost to the day.
Wow.
And finally seeing all the sort of, I think, the vision of like what a combined platform could be. And a big part of that, and I think we all thought and we're all expecting to see, is with loyalty, because vacation rentals never really had a loyalty option. And now with the launch of One Key, just over a year ago, what have you guys seen sort of on the impact of that, like reflecting back on the launch and how it's sort of
exciting?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the stat that gets me most excited is, of the travelers that have burned their One Key cash on Vrbo, a third of them had never been to Vrbo before. So these are people, awesome. Traditional hotels.com or Expedia travelers that are, I don't know if they're trying vacation rentals for the first time, but they're trying Vrbo for the first time. So that's pretty exciting. And then beyond that, I think people tend to pivot towards like, it's just earn and burn is the capability. It's actually, there's more to the loyalty play. There's the earn and burn, but then also you actually get a discount on traveler service fees if you're a member. And then the third one is, with the promotion suite that we now have based on replatforming, we've started to source member-only deals. So you could, you start to stack those things together: One Key cash plus reduced traveler service fee plus a discount of somewhere between 10 and 20%, depending on what level you are within the program. Like, it's a good bit of value that's coming to the loyalty program. And, really our competitors can't replicate that.
Yeah. What about the change on the Vrbo Blue though? I know there's the kind of used to be able to, as a lower tier, to be able to earn points on your Vrbo stays. And now that isn't the case. Is it just, it's not worth sort of allocating the points to those stays? They're not likely to return, or is there something else?
I think what we found was we had more near-term returns making those investments in other channels. However, for the earn that was occurring on people that tended to do more trips that were in the higher tiers, It was a fantastic investment. So that was the rationale behind the change.
Cool. The other one I'm super excited about is the launch of Vrbo payments. And as a host, and me having to set up my own Stripe account and like go through being a merchant of record. Like, I get why Brandy would want to be merchant of record as a big property manager, but like the pain for me to do it, like I was like, I'd rather just not. So really excited about you guys launching that. But was wondering how that actually impacts One Key. Because I know, like, if I'm using Vrbo payments, I think you guys announced that you'll be able to more easily earn or burn a certain level. Can you sort of explain how that works? Sort of, if I'm using Vrbo payments, like, is that going to like push me higher that someone's going to see that they can earn those points on those stays, or is it something entirely different?
So Vrbo travelers earn on all bookings.
Okay.
But they can only burn on bookings where we're the merchant of record. Because think of One Key cash as a currency.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Swiss francs. It's not valuable, right?
Yeah.
Our cash register can accept the Swiss francs, but your cash register cannot. So one of the benefits is that as the connected partners that connect through software, as they get on our merchant of record solution, they will have the benefit of being able to having travelers redeem their One Key cash. And in our pilots for the merchant of record solution, we've seen that about 20% of travelers have in fact burned One Key cash on those bookings. So that benefit, we're seeing it come to life.
So with the merchant of record, I think this makes a ton of sense. It was, this is the move that, it was expected. Do you expect that it will become mandatory, or do you foresee Vrbo always giving people the option to, be the merchant of record themselves?
It's an optional product. I mean,
Yeah.
for forever, like, I don't know. There's a lot of, I can't predict a decade from now.
Commit right now on air forever.
Yeah, I think here's the deal. I think there's, with the merchant of record stuff, there's people like Jamie that are like, I need this now. I'm sick of processing payments. And then there's the other end of the spectrum that are kind of like over my dead body. And then there's a bunch of people that are in the middle. And I think that there's a lot of value that we get from some of the over my dead body crowd, because a lot of them, like, if we're the platform that allows you to have this degree of flexibility, perhaps we're the only OTA that they work with. Like, I'd be, and some of them, a lot of them have really good inventory. One of them is a good friend of mine, Tim Cafferty. You guys probably know Tim. He has like the best inventory in the Outer Banks, and he only lists on Vrbo because we let him handle the cash. I'd be out of my mind to make him get on a merchant record solution.
Yeah, I think one of the big hangups is like when you get the money. So if we could get all the money at time of booking, I think there's a bunch of people that might be less on the my dead body side of things. But yeah, I think that's another feather in Vrbo's cap to have for a host, is actually continuing to be on the host side or supporting hosts, like however they want to do their business.
I think that's right. And the cash flow thing, right now the pilot solution, it's pay at time of stay, but we kicked tires on, well, what would it mean? What would it take to pay people at time of booking? But like, it's a reasonable question, because like I talked about Tim, it is for him, like in the Carolinas, it's pretty standard that when you get the booking, you pay your underlying owners half of it up front. And that change in business practice for his owners would be pretty dramatic. So I think, listen, we have a history, and I hope you've seen this, of like, we try to be balanced between hosts and travelers, rather than just saying, we're always going to do what the traveler wants, and the hosts are going to have to deal with it. Like, we have a history of, hopefully you've seen, not operating that way.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Tim, changing subjects a bit, we've seen, I would say, some less than stellar sort of AI announcements over the past 3 years across different industries. I'd say, like, I was super excited about the stuff you guys launched, because it just, like, it was simple. It wasn't trying to like recreate the experience, but it was like value add at that point when, and someone really, and AI makes sense. Like the AI review summary of like, you've got 20 reviews. I don't want to read through all those. Just give me the highlights, right? Like your AI sort of Q&A. I don't want to go like out and try to find like what the pet policy is, what the cancellation policy is. Like, is the pool hated? Just give me a box, let me ask questions, and like give me the answers to the questions I have about the property. Like it seemed to make really great sense. I guess the question now is on the execution of like AI review summaries. It's great, and as a host, if you're only highlighting the positive stuffs, but if you also like start highlighting like that one time and someone had a hair on their sheet, and now I can't get rid of that from my AI review summary for a year, like, and how awesome is that? So can you talk anything? I think you guys have actually have this out about like how it's working, what it highlights, like, is there an opportunity to like and improve the prompt or things like that?
Yeah, I think in general, what it's been really good at is identifying trends. So, if you've had 100 stays, and on one of them there was something embarrassing, that's not what's going to be highlighting in the AI. Mm-hmm. Now, if on 90 of those 100 stays that thing happened, there's a pretty darn good chance it's going to be included in the AI. And for us, that's all about just being a more trusted marketplace, and a trusted marketplace that hopefully with the AI is easier to consume and easier to use and easier to book on.
Cool. What the other thing that like is a bit scary And given that, like, I've curated all the photos of my Vrbo page, and now that you guys testing the ability for guests to upload their own photos onto reviews, I'm sure you guys have tested that. Like, and do you see it generally like helping? Do you see it hurting some? Like, and what are the reasons why? And it seems mostly negative while someone's going to actually load a photo, but in sort of actuality, like, is it a good mix? Like, is it generally helpful? Like, I assume you generally want to do things that are going to be helpful for booking. So what have you guys seen there?
Yeah, I think we've seen, I mean, this is something that we've seen in retail, and we've seen some other travel players do this. And in general, we've found it to be another great trust signal. We do have sort of the right moderation in place to make sure that valid stuff is flowing through. And, in general, we're excited about it because, we also, I think if we can get to the state of somebody has the amazing custom photos, we develop the right prompts in our system to encourage the travelers to upload photos. They're on vacation. They're probably taking pictures already. To validate that what might be perceived as a stock image is true. Like, I actually think that that's an amazing opportunity category. And like, listen, I think that we're going to have to continue to learn about what happens when somebody submits something that's more negative, especially if in fact it's clearly an aberration across hundreds of stays.
Yeah, I love that. People want to highlight it. You see it on other sites like TripAdvisor, more good pictures than bad, but it could, be of great detriment taking a small picture of the bottom corner of a room that has a hole in it and like trying to make a big deal out of a small little issue. But shifting gears here, Expedia's been on an absolute tear in a great way on the B2B side of things.
Yep.
How does B2B flow downstream into vacation rentals? And then I want to dovetail into some social media questions following that.
Sure. I mean, I think B2B is probably one of the things I'm most excited about, because not only are we going to be bringing demand from Expedia, we're going to be bringing demand from something like 60,000 different demand partners eventually, and then over 100,000 travel agents. And these are like pretty hard to reach little nooks of demand. And it's been one of, the biggest areas of growth that we've seen on the hotel side of the business. I mean, a fun fact. So on the hotel side of the business, our largest demand channel in Italy is not hotels.com or Expedia, is the collection of B2B network that we pull together in terms of demand. Like, it's, when you start thinking about the scope that we've developed, it is massive. And I mean, the great thing for Vrbo is I think it's going to enable us to be a much more international company and a much more international business. But hey, it's also, I think, going to be a tailwind for domestic. Some of our biggest demand partners are like Delta Airlines. Like, you guys, a couple of you guys are in the Southeast. I think you guys fly a little bit of Delta these days, right? So I think it's a pretty massive opportunity. I think probably the more immediate value will be via Expedia, because what we want to do is we want to develop the playbooks for how you sell vacation rentals and hotels side by side, and then teach them to the B2B partners that are also trying to do the same.
Yeah, I have to say it's also funny. I was telling the friends that I'm staying with that I was like, oh, that like the thing that's powering all of the bookings, like the hotel bookings you're doing with your credit card companies, is Expedia. And they were like kind of mind blown about that. And, but so when you're going to choose the inventory for Vrbo that gets pushed, is there any sort of like system to that, or ways that you're choosing it? Or is it going to be like all of the Vrbo inventory is now getting pushed to those partners?
Needs to be instant book, needs to be on our merchant record.
There you go. That makes a lot of sense.
And then once we do that, it's up to the B2B partner what they want to consume. So, some of these brands like, American Express Travel, like that's, a pretty good brand. Yeah. Someone like them, and we haven't specifically talked with them about this, but just think of somebody who wants a curated collection. If they say, I don't want it all, I only want the premier hosts, we'll develop the ability to do that. So again, it's going to help with, if you deliver great experiences, you're going to continue to get more depth of demand.
Interesting. I like that analogy of just taking the certain crops of the inventory as well.
I'd rather take it all, but if they only want some of it,
everyone has their niche though that they're going to convert better in their buying market.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, Tim, we saw a Booking.com and a TikTok collaboration or partnership announced. I know Expedia has been talking about socials in some way. So 2 questions. When does Expedia buy Instagram? And then what is y'all's social media strategy?
So on the buy Instagram, boy, I'd need to talk to Corp Dev and they'd probably say, what are you talking about? But
it's going to happen.
in your head, Mike. Listen, we have a massive social strategy. We know that that's the way, especially a younger demographic that we're trying to reach, consumes information. We found that something like 72% of leisure travelers are one way or another inspired by something that's via an influencer. The opportunity, in my mind, is actually to do it in a way that's much more consistent with our brand. So the thing that recently we started doing, and Jamie, maybe you saw this at Explore, was we started getting property managers to sign up to do basically matchmaking with influencers, with the idea being, if a property manager says, I want influencers to help propel my homes and propel my brand, we'll bring in an influencer and we'll figure out something. Like the way I've always thought about it is, if you're a property manager, you probably relatively frequently have Monday and Tuesday nights that are just, the house is just sitting there. Well, how about you let an influencer stay there? Somebody pays for a cleaning fee and they'll film content that we will then use to drive you more bookings. And who knows, maybe you can use that content too for your own brand. So I think it's a pretty good opportunity to do something smart with influencers while at the same time really leaning into our history working with the professional property managers.
And I can't wait till I can earn revenue as a Vrbo influencer, but maybe
what's your angle here? Is it like data driven influence?
He's the data guy.
Yeah.
We could get a vacation rental with a whiteboard and you could be doing like supply and demand curves. Like it could be a whole thing. I mean, that would influence me to travel to that home. But I think you and I are, fellow data nerds, and we're quite a small subset of the market.
Yeah. We're also going to be on the road quite a bit this fall. Can you give, if people want to connect with you, and where are you going to be this fall, conference wise?
Yeah, it's gonna be a little
everywhere.
Crazy. Yeah. I'm going to Singapore next week, then Burma, then Astra in Australia, Gold Coast, and then Vacation Rental World Summit in Rome. So
busy fall.
Delta?
Yeah.
Are you an airline loyalist?
I do sort of whatever's most convenient when things get that.
Rack up those
you're all over the world,
right?
Yeah. I mean, something's getting earned. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tim. It's always so much fun having you on the show. Come up with some more updates so we can have you back. And yeah, it'll be exciting to see what you guys roll out in the next couple months.
Always great to see you guys. Take it easy.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.